Hi, this is Tom from tdjacobs.com, and I want to give an update on some crystal stuff today. I probably have enough for 3 or 4 videos regarding crystals. It's been a while since I've done an update. I've been doing some blog posts, 3 so far, but definitely there's more to say, on effectively processing grief, which I've been doing quite a lot of. And so I want to talk about this process that it's been going on for years, but I'm getting new tools and new understanding about using crystals to affect frequencies within me in order to create change, to release things, to heal, to do these things. And even as I look at myself on the video right there, even as I look at myself, I look a little different today than recent videos, and it's because of the progress. I look a little different to me, and I can feel a difference in my voice and where my voice is coming from. There's more space in my chest because I've been clearing some grief, and I've been meaning to do a little video. So here we go. Talking about grief, I have used Jet, where my Jet is right here. When I first picked up Jet, and I think it was December of 2013, is that almost 2 years ago? It's almost 2 years ago. When I first picked up Jet, I felt the beginning of a sense of peacefulness, and I knew what I needed to grieve. I had a conscious awareness of what it was. It took years and years to get there, and it's about another life situation where my entire family and village die in front of me, and then I die, and it's this terrible, tragic massacre, and it's like it's colored everything about my entire life. My relationship with family and friends, my ability to connect with community, to be attached to individual people without having a lot of grief come up. I mean, it has seriously dominated everything. So when I first picked up Jet, I knew what was going on. I knew Jet was for grief, and I immediately had a little softening. And then as I used it for another couple of weeks, it just got to be, it just didn't feel right anymore. And so I've actually purchased Jet, and I charge them for grieving, but I haven't talked about it, so nobody's purchased them. It's kind of funny. But I do have Jet on my site for this. And Jet was very popular in Victorian England for mourning jewelry. This is essentially petrified wood that's been polished. And we get the phrase jet black from this. So that's something that I didn't connect with 100% all the time I used it, but I have definitely had some benefit from it. I moved on to Onyx, little tumbled Onyx pieces. I actually, just to be fair to this process, I use these 3 pieces all the time, so when I use them, they click a little. And what I use them for, in conjunction specifically with, I've charged these, and I offer these on my site as well, for healing trauma and grief. And there's a series of 4 MP3s on healing trauma and grief. They're 4 channeled 60-minute energy work MP3s. So you go into a meditative place, so the Metatron, the archangel I work with and channel, and Ascended Master Jehudi, also known as Thoth and Saint Germain and Merlin, they do energy work through my voice as you listen. It is complete magic. It is awesome. And I require that you get a charged Onyx to do those, because otherwise it's not really going to get to the deep places. So with Onyx, charged for Plutonian issues of all kinds, talking about trauma, it's actually a Plutonian empowerment solution to a Uranian problem. Trauma relates to Uranus, but lots of loss and deep pain can feel traumatic eventually, so we relate that to Pluto as well. So I use the Onyx specifically for transforming my relationship with anger. This is something that has been a problem since I was 5. I even remember the moment that this door opened. I even remember, I was thinking about it actually the last few weeks, but I remembered it over the years off and on. And I remember the exact house. I remember exactly where I was when this happened. But I was a pretty carefree kid until this moment. And I heard my mother on the phone with her mother. And there's this karmic scenario that we're all involved in various lives that happens over and over again, where my grandmother, who's now deceased, she feels this complete over hyper responsibility for everyone's safety. And because she's so fixated on it, accidents happen. Because when you have fear, you create things. And so she had this thing where she wanted my mother to be like her because my grandmother felt that she figured out how to be safe. This had to do with being Jewish in America. This had to do with all kinds of different things about being different. And my grandmother had all these like fears about if you stood out, you'd create problems and you wouldn't be safe. So my grandmother, the point is, was always criticizing my mom to fall in line and do what my grandmother expected. And I remember my mom was on the phone, so I heard one side of the conversation, and my mom was responding to my grandmother's criticism. And I got so angry at how my grandmother was treating my mom, a volcano erupted. I remember the moment. I was 5 years old. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. And this thing erupted. And after that, my mom had to take me to the basement or the backyard. And every few weeks or every month, periodically when it came up, and had me hammer nails into 2x4s to work out the anger, because it was volcanic, and it was about protecting my mother, because Southland cancer, couldn't deal with anybody giving her crap like that. So since then, I've had problems with anger. That's the short story. And so I've used the Onyx over the last year and a half to really get down to grounding the anger deeply. Onyx is said to be a grounding stone. All black stones are going to be said to be good for the root chakra and grounding. And I've used that to consciously turn some of that anger into passion by saying, okay, that anger is actually a response to pain. So let me understand that. Instead of flying off the handle, let me ground, be in my body, know where my feet are grounded, connected to the earth, and say, okay, right, I have enough pain that I'm angry. Okay. So Onyx helped a tremendous amount with that. And I found myself to be less reactive to certain things that would make me fly off the handle before, in a hyper way, kind of like fly off the handle, like he has PTSD kind of thing. So and on my site, there's channeled info about Onyx and PTSD and this whole process. There's a 30-plus page PDF from Ascended Master Jehudi of me asking him questions about this, because he wanted me to use these to help people with trauma. So great effect with that. It is a stimulating stone. It is an activating stone, so that you can change your relationship with angry parts who are protecting hurt parts. So that's important about that. And the next part of the process was pink opal. This is a small little tiny piece of pink opal. And this one is not charged. I'm using it to get the effect from it, and I'm intentionally not putting energy into it. When I work with the pieces that are charged, I get very emotional. I get soft and cuddly, like crazy cuddly, and it's awesome after a wave of emotion breaks. So pink opal, and I charge these and offer these on my site as well, will bring emotions to the surface, typically in a gentle way. You'll realize, why do I feel teary? It's not a terrible, powerful, confrontational kind of energy. So this will bring things to the surface. Now, normal pink opal will, but the way I've charged it, it goes straight in there and brings stuff up. And one of my friends I've also done some work for over the years recently got one, and when she has it with her, she cries, and she's like, why am I crying? But she knows she's dealing with grief and loss and change, and she knows that, and she and I have that in common, kind of a deep sense of that, of having that be true. But then also when she thinks about it, when it's in another part of the house or she's away from it, she thinks about it, that vibration brings it up. It basically connects you to Saint Germain, who's a face of the Ascended Master that I channel, Jehudi. And these are charged with a connector, their anchor, a bookmark, to divine compassion and the violet flame of forgiveness. So things want to get cried out using pink opal. I've had amazing effects with that, even to the point of when I choose not to use it, and then I had like 8 of them or 10 of them on the couch, 6 feet behind me, And I sat down with my girlfriend and we had this conversation, and it went into this really emotional place. I was emotional. I think she thought we were having a normal conversation. And I was like, why am I so upset? And it's because I was sitting, a few feet away from 10 of these stones. So as I polish them, I get emotional. If I spend a day doing it, now it's to the point where I can do maybe an hour with them. If I do more than that every 3 or 4 days, I will get a little overly emotional. But now I'm learning how to let that be okay, because if stuff's pushing to the surface and I'm crying, I need to cry. I need to move the energy. And that is one way we release energy and tension goes. And of course, there's a calming sedative of agents in our tears. If you didn't know that, read about that. So pink opal has been really effective, and I don't want you to think you'll be a mess if you get one, because I want you to use it intentionally every few days or when you know that you need to heal something, but it will naturally bring things up that need to be felt. And we can't talk about what hurts and move through it. That's the failing of modern consciousness. And psychology is great, psychiatry is great, but we have to feel it. We have to open our heart. And I've been talking about this for as long as I've been doing this job. We have to open our heart. This is the 2012 Chiron teaching. This is the compassionate teaching. This is inner kid healing teaching. We have to feel. We have to be willing to feel. So that's the pink opal. And then the other day, I got, and this is the last part of the video here, moving into it, the last of the 4 stones. I got inspired to go to this gem shop out in the middle of nowhere, outside of Tucson city limits. And so I drove out there on Sunday, and I looked up if they were open, because it would be kind of annoying to get all the way there and find out they weren't. And I get there, and I'm going to buy some rose quartz, because I'm like, I don't have any quartz. I do all this crystal work, all this healing work. I don't have any quartz. And one of the reasons is two reasons. I was really drawn to smoky quartz, but smoky quartz can activate intuition. And when I have my intuition activated by a crystal, my 6th chakra, my 3rd eye opens up, and I sometimes feel like I'm about to get a migraine or something. It's too much sometimes. So I was drawn to smoky quartz. The color was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, but I never got one. I haven't even touched one, because I don't want to overdo that thing, and I have plenty of tools for intuition. But then normal quartz, regular clear quartz, never appealed to me. So I was like, rose quartz, heart healing. Oh, I'll get one of those. So I go to this place. I ask if he has some. He shows me these rough pieces and a couple polished pieces, and they have little hearts and whatever. It's cute. And I pick maybe 5 or 6 of these things, and I'm happy with it, right? I feel good. I'm like, oh, and I start to feel gratitude. And even when I was driving away, I held it, because I thought I went there for this. And I was driving away. I was holding it in my left hand, listening to what happened and watching. And I'm driving. I'm looking at the mountains in Tucson, and I'm saying, this is really beautiful. Like, I don't like living in the desert, and so I can't always appreciate the beauty. And I was like, this is spectacular. Look at these mountains and those mountains, because Tucson's surrounded by 4 ranges of mountains. We're in a valley, kind of boxed in a little bit. And I was really grateful, and I was really grateful for my girlfriend, and I was grateful for this and that. And I was like, this is awesome. But when I was there, I was also drawn to get, this isn't even about rose quartz, because I haven't really investigated it. This is going to be about the ocean jasper, or sea jasper. It's also called orbicular jasper. If you can see those little round things there, they're little orbs of color that are trapped in there. I'm just going to show you some different examples of different color schemes. And these are tumbled, and I purchased these tumbled. I didn't make these, but I have pieces in the garage that I tumbled that weren't perfect, but I actually have been working with it quite a while, but not connecting with it. And then another example here. And I see the color variations. And this one's kind of nice with a little pink in there, as well as little greens. Anyway, so show and tell. I can't get over it. And this is one of the most interesting ones. So anyway, I got these, and I had to get them. And I looked up on my phone in the store, what does ocean jasper do? And I looked at it, and it's like this idea of spending millions of years under the ocean, It's under the ocean off of the coast of Madagascar. Something about the movement of the waves, the energy of the ocean and the salt water to help us relax and surrender. So I've been using this for surrender, and this is actually the final key in me processing grief. So that's kind of the end game of this video. So just a little more on this one. And this one's actually charged. The other ones I haven't spent time with, but I will. And this is helping me relax to accept what is. So this thing about anger as a response to grief, the ocean jasper, I'm sitting with it, I'm having it in my pocket. Even I went to the gym and walked and ran on the treadmill and had it in a little pocket in my shorts. So it wasn't on my skin, but it was, the vibration was with me. It was affecting my field. And then I've had it with me for now a couple days. And it's really helping me see clearly the parts of me that react with frustration about certain things that I'm unhappy about, or certain things that I want to be different. So this is really the Piscean Neptune healing stone, but I had to go through all this other stuff with the pink opal and the and the onyx and the jet and whatever, and to get to this place of relaxing. So I'm just starting it, and I noticed that the parts of me inside that still have these reactions, they're still speaking, but they don't have much footing. And I'm saying, okay, right, a part of me feels really frustrated about that. Okay. And I noticed that I'm speaking a lot less when I use the ocean jasper, because I don't need to express my discontent, because I can see that the situation that I don't like is serving my higher purpose. And actually using it last night, I was out and I was in a public place, and I was just trying to think about some issue that's been dogging me for a long time. That is one of the big sources of my the part of me that's unhappy, real source of it, about certain relationship issues. And last night I saw the truth of it, because I was relaxed and willing to see the truth of it. And it really blew my mind in a wonderful way. And I was like, oh my God, this is major. This is really a big deal. And I didn't realize this was coming. So the part of you that carries the pain won't go away, but can relax. The part of you that carries the fear and the reactivity to something, they don't go away, but it can relax. It can chill out. It can be a part of you instead of the part that rushes to the surface and forcefully takes over because you're frustrated or something. And this is about grief, like I talk about anger, but it is about grief. It is about grieving that all these people died and that I couldn't help them. And grieving that relationships do end sometimes under tragic circumstances. And coming to a calmer, which is better, place of acceptance that everything that happens to me and everything that has happened to me across time is not happening to me or forced on me or shoved down my throat, which a part of me does sometimes feel. I'm a little embarrassed to admit here on a video. But it happens to suit my soul's learning journey. And I teach this. I've written these 3 books for the soul's journey, trilogy. I teach this in classes and podcasts and workshops. But for me, the final frontier is getting to the place where, how can I accept that watching all of my loved ones and my whole community be massacred in front of me, how can I accept that's for my highest good when I got this guy inside me who's perpetually depressive, crying, this dude, and how can I see that as serving my highest good? And I've struggled with it for years. And through this process of grounding the anger, and then, like acknowledging grief, Jet, Onyx grounding the anger so that I could be more intentional about this energy flow and how it's expressed and not fly off the handle all the time. I mean, all the time. To pink opal, allowing the feelings to come to the surface and the grief to be crying. You know, I've been crying a lot lately with this pink opal, allowing it to come to the surface, and then it's up. Well, then what? And using the ocean jasper to relax into it and to let it be what it is. So thanks for your time and attention. You know, sometimes I feel like I talk too much about myself and my work, but I think that I'm a laboratory experiment of how to heal the oh my God, it's coming up now. How to heal the most intense stuff that hurts the deepest, and how to look at this thing that you think is too awful to look at, and how can you move through it? I'm a laboratory experiment. My whole life is. So I do share these things because I do believe that they are helpful. Because there are certain plutonium pains that grief, loss, trauma, you know, things that create depression and anger and other things, and hatred of self and other and self-destructive tendencies, all these things that we don't know we can get through. And we can. But we have to know what to do, and we have to be willing to feel the old pain to move through it. So check out these crystals. Jasper, this seed ocean jasper is not available yet, but it will be. I'm experimenting with the handful of tumbled stones that I got recently. I'll be playing with that. But it's definitely something to put in the mix. But the other three, jet, onyx, and pink opal, all charged for healing emotional issues. Definitely all available right now on tdjacobs.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.